Hello everyone, my name is Kartikeya. In this video, I am going to discuss second chapter, which is supply under GST.
Okay, let us discuss the first topic, which is meaning and scope of supply. It can be understood by the three parameters. The supply should be in the form of goods or services, which means other than goods or services like money, securities does not attract the GST. And the second parameter is supply should be made for a consideration. And third one is supply should be made in the course or furtherance of business. If the three parameters are satisfied, it is treated as a supply, but some of the exceptions to the second and third parameters, which we will discuss in the later part, and also supply includes sale and transfer, barter and exchange, license, lease, rental, etc. also includes. In consideration means the payment of money or in any kind. We notice that the subsidy received from the state or central government is not considered as a consideration.
In case of donations given by the individuals to the non-profit organizations, it is not treated as a consideration unless the such consideration exists as quid pro quo in form of any promotion, advertisement or any commercial gain. And in case of artworks displayed in the exhibition, there is no consideration flows from the gallery to the artist, and therefore it shall not be treated as a supply. Only if supply when a buyer selects a particular artwork displayed in the gallery, then treated as a supply. And the next one is only those transactions that are in the course or furtherance of business as qualify as a supply under GST. It means any activity or transaction has to be done infrequently or regularly. It also includes sale of goods or services as vocational is also supply under GST, and services provided by the clubs, associations to its members, admission of persons to any premises for consideration, and race clubs are also related to the business. Importation of services, it is divided into two parts. The first part is importation of services for consideration whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, and the second part is importation of services from the related persons in the course or furtherance of business. The difference between the first part and the second part is that the first part is not considering the whether it is in the course or furtherance of business, and the second part is not considering the consideration. And the important point in the second part is the services must be received from the related persons. So the first one is the exception and the second one is the deemed supply. And the next third topic is supply without consideration, which is deemed supply. It is divided into four categories. And the first one is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets, where input tax credit has been availed on such assets only classified as a deemed supplies. Otherwise, it is not a deemed. And the second one is supply of goods or services between the related persons or distinct persons, which qualify as a supply even if it is made without consideration, provided if it is made in the course or furtherance of business. And here the related persons are those who influence the other persons like family members, or controls the other person, or owns directly or indirectly, holds greater than 25% of the voting power or shares is called related person. And here distinct persons are classified according to the registrations. Since GST is a PAN based, supplier is liable to register in each state or union territory where he makes taxable supply under the same PAN. If he has multiple places of business in the same state or distinct state, he has registered in that places. So he is considered as a distinct person. If the same place of business in the same state is not considered as a distinct person. And also transfer of stock between branches treated as a supply only separate registrations of entity and establishment of distinct persons. If in case of single registration in the same state or union territory is not treated as a supply, and this transfer should be made in the course or furtherance of business. And the next one is supply of goods between principal and agent without consideration treated as a supply. But in order to determine relationship of principal and agent whether exists or not, we have to check the two conditions. They are agent should be issue invoice for further supply in his own name, not in the name of principal name to the customers. And the second condition is where the agent procured the goods from the principal are invoiced in the agent name. If the both conditions are satisfied, the relationship between the principal and the agent fall within the ambit of GST. And the last one is importation of services from the related persons without consideration, but in the course or furtherance of business, which is treated as supply, which is already discussed. And we have some of the important points under the deemed supply. They are Supply of goods and services between employer and employee in the course of employment is not treated as a supply, and also gifts given by the employer to the employee in one financial year up to 50,000 is not considered, but more than the 50,000 will consider as a supply and taxable under the GST. And the next point is, in case of supply of services between the principal and agent without consideration is liable to tax under the GST. And free samples for sales promotion schemes to encourage their sales given by the businesses like pharmaceutical companies. These free sampled products will not qualify as a supply under GST except if they falls in the ambit of Schedule 1. And in case of offers like buy one get one free, in this case it is not an individual supply of free goods. It is for two or more supplies for the single price, and it is taxable upon whether the supply is a composite supply or mixed supply. Therefore, it will be determined accordingly. And the next topic is classification of goods or services. Schedule 2 of the CGST Act contains the list of certain activities or transactions which have been classified either supply of goods or supply of services. In this, there are 7 kind of activities or transactions. There are transfer, land and building, treatment or process, transfer of business assets, and 567 are discussed indirectly. And we remember that the renting of residential well-being for use as a resident is exempt from the GST and it is not a service. And the first one is transfer. Any transfer of title in goods or under an agreement transfer of property at a future date upon payment of full consideration like hire purchase or sale or return basis is treated as a supply of goods. And if any transfer of right in goods or undivided share in goods without transfer of title treated as a supply of services. And the second one is land and building. It shall not be treated as a supply of goods. It is only treated as a supply of services by giving such land as a lease, tenancy, license, etc. And third one is any treatment or process applied to the another person's goods like dyeing of another person's clothes is treated as a supply of services. And next fourth one is transfer of business assets or disposed of business assets under the directions of the owner of the business so as no longer to be used of those assets in the business is under the head of supply of goods. If such assets are put in private use or made available to the other person for the use of assets other than ordinary course of business is treated as a supply of services. In simply, the difference between the good or services is if the business assets are transferred or disposed of according to the directions of the owner, it is the good. If such goods are put in private use or available to the another person, it is a supply of services. The fifth one is all supply of services. They are like renting of immovable property like college buildings, etc., and construction of buildings, complex civil structure, etc. Anything which is intended for sale to a buyer is treated as a supply of services. And next, temporary transfer or permitting use of any intellectual property like patent, copyright, etc. are also supply of services. And next, development, design, programming or any other processing of IT software is also supply of services. And next, agreeing to the obligations to retain from an act or to tolerate an act, which means non-compete agreements constitute as a supply of services. For example, late delivery charges recovered from the supplier for non-fulfillment of contract. And the sixth one is works contract services for any construction, installation, fitting out or repair or any maintenance, renovation or alteration, etc. All are treated as a supply of services. And the last one is supply of goods by an unincorporated associations or body of persons to a member thereof for consideration. For example, any association supplies TV, washing machines to its members treated as a supply of goods. And the fifth topic is non-supplies, which means classification of activities, neither supply of goods or nor supply of services. These activities are specified in three categories. The first one is listed in the Schedule 3 and the second one is notified by way of wide clarification and the last category is clarified by way of clarification. Let us discuss one by one. First one is services provided by the employer to the employee in relation to his employment. And the second one is services provided by any court, tribunal or under any law for the timing in force. And the next one is functions performed by the members of parliament, state legislatives, panchayats, municipalities and other local authorities. And the duties performed by any person who holds any post in under the provisions of constitutions Examples: duties performed by the President of India, Prime Minister, Chief Minister, etc., or any other person of a chairperson or member or director of any body established by the central government, state government, or local authority. And the fourth one is services of funeral, cremational, or transportation of deceased person, and these are not taxed under the GST. And the fifth one is sale of land or building according to the schedule 2. And the last one is actionable claims are also not treated as a supply of services or goods, but it excludes lottery, betting, and gambling. And the second category is non-supplies notified white notification, which are panchayat functions and municipalities functions, which means services by way of any activity in relation to a function of panchayat or municipality under the constitution are treated as neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And also services by way of grant of alcoholic liquor license by the state governments are treated as neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And the third category is non-supplies clarified by way of clarification. These are interstate movement of various modes of conveyance between the distinct persons like train, buses, trucks, vessels, containers, aircraft, for carrying goods or passengers, or for repairs and maintenance, except in cases where such movement is for further supply of the same conveyance, shall be treated as neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And also interstate movement of tools and spares and all other goods on wheels like cranes, except in case of where movement of such goods is for further supply of same goods, such interstate movement shall be treated as neither supply of goods nor supply of service. And the next sixth topic is composite supplies, which comprises of two or more taxable supplies of goods or services, or both are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, and in which one shall be the principal supply. To determine whether it is naturally bundled or not, it is in the ordinary course of business and depends upon the each case. And the rate of tax is applicable to the entire composite supply is the rate which applicable to the principal supply. And the last topic is mixed supplies, which means two or more individual supplies are independent of each other and not naturally bundled for a single price is called mixed supplies. The rate of tax is the highest rate of tax which attracts in the supplies. Thanks for watching.